Hi, in today's video, let us talk about making a transition, especially from a tech background to SaaS SDR roles. All right. Now, if you are someone who is a BDA, BDM, or a senior manager in the EdTech space and you're looking forward to make a transition into B2B selling or SaaS selling, SDR would be an ideal role to start off because you have to learn outbound first in order to get into the closing role eventually. All right. Uh, Before applying for jobs and sitting in interviews, there are certain basic things which you should invest time in learning. And that is what I'll be focusing on guiding you with in today's video. So let's not waste time. The very first thing you have to focus on is learning the qualification frameworks. Even in your day-to-day calls where you are selling educational courses or professional courses, you would be using consultative selling as well, but not to that extent where you would uncover the pain. All right. So there are certain qualification frameworks which any B2B seller uses. For example, BANT, right, which covers budget, authority, need, timeline. How do you use this framework and qualify the prospect? That is something very important. If in case you want to discover a bit more on the problem and the implication, then spin selling framework also comes in place here, which covers the situation, problem, implication, and need payoff. So you have to master on how you would ask questions around the situation, around the problem, around the implication and the need payoff, right? Then you should also practice how you would qualify the leads within the first 2 to 3 minutes, right? How you would you start the conversation, how would you start qualifying them, and all of that. If you are applying for enterprise companies, which means if you are applying for a company which is selling to enterprises, then you should also know the medic framework. For more details, you can use ChatGPT or Google as well, but these are some of the qualification frameworks which you should learn. Then the next thing is cold calling, right? Now, as an edtech sales professional, you have been cold calling day in, day out, right? But your conversation, your approach towards having that conversation might be different, right? So in the B2B space, you are always using a permission based opener, right? You're not beating around the bush. And you're also using certain low pressure, value led tactics to talk to people, right? Beating around the bush is a sin when you are calling and talking to a business client, right? Then you should always learn how to talk about the problems. So the problem first approach, right? Maybe you can listen to a lot of cold calls which are there on YouTube. Learn how to use a permission based opener. Learn how to highlight the problem and then drive the conversation. These are certain things you should learn. Main thing is objection handling as well, right? There are certain common objections like I'm not interested, we already have a vendor, email me, and many more, right? So how would you handle these objections? So ideally, you wouldn't become defensive, you wouldn't try to push them and all of that, right? So there are certain simple frameworks, like first you acknowledge the objection, then you clarify certain things, right? Maybe ask a couple of more questions to understand what exactly is the underlying reason for their objection, and then maybe you provide your value and then a call to action, right? Again, ending every call with a clear CTA is also important. CTA is nothing but a calls to action, right? Ideally your goal is from the first call to a longer call, like a 15-20 minute discovery call, right? You should practice the entire flow. If you want to practice cold call, you can use ChatGPT as well. There is Hyperbound, which might give you certain free credits to practice cold calling. You can use all these tools. Then comes cold emailing. Again, as an tech sales rep, you would have, I mean, never used emailing to that extent. I know maybe you would have used it to share some course details or the program details on email, which are almost like a marketing email. But here, while you are, following the cold email, you should know how to write short, crisp emails, which would look like an internal email, right, of a company. There's one framework which I really like, which is called AIDA, where you start with attention, interest, desire, and then lead to action, right? How would you grab that prospect's attention? How would you bring that interest in and create that desire, and then eventually leading to action? And you should also know how to personalize, right? How to write role based, trigger based emails as well. Personalization works really well. It shows that you are serious about what you're doing, you have done enough research, and you're not going to waste your time, right? So the more efforts you put in researching and writing a good email, the better results. Don't do chat gpt copy paste, please. It doesn't work. Then you also should know how to build a maybe 6 to 8 step follow-up sequence, right? How you would add value in every message that you write here, maybe through LinkedIn or maybe through cold emails, right? That is something you should learn how to prepare. And subject lines, very very important, right? The a attention in AIDA is subject line, right? You always try to grab attention of your prospect through your subject line. So how to write clean subject lines which always looks like internal emails, that is something you have to practice, right? There are a lot of free videos as well on YouTube, or maybe you can join some program and learn cold emailing as well, but these are essential skill sets. Then having an understanding of GTM is nothing but go to market team. They'll have their own motions, like in EdTech, how you call it a sales team or the business development team. On the B2B side, people call it GTM team, go to market team, which combines sales team and the marketing team. Then you should also have a very good product understanding, right? So any SaaS company will have one product or multiple products. You should always know what the product does, how it works, what problem is it solving, right? Now, who are the ideal customer profiles and who are the buyer personas in those companies, who would be ideal buyers for your product? You should also know how to map those top use cases and basic workflows as well, right? Many sales reps, they do mistakes by not understanding the product's differentiator. Now, every product will have a differentiator, which is that unique value that will add for the prospect. You should always know that very well, because most of your competitors might be doing the same thing. So how would you solve the problem for them, right? Is it the time you are saving? Is it the money you are saving? Or is it certain integrations that you have which would save time for them? All of that, right? Then knowing the basic metrics, ChatGPT should be fine to train you. Knowing what is ARR, what is customer acquisition cost, CAC, what is a churn, what is efficiency, and all of that, right? So these kind of basic metrics also you should know and start talking the language of SaaS or B2B. Discovery, because once you do cold call, you invite the prospect for a detailed discovery call, right? So you should practice discovery, how to ask problem led questions, how to be clear, and not repeat the same things again and again, right? Because you hardly have 15-20 minutes in which you have to uncover the pain point of the prospect so that you can position your solution, right? You should also know how to identify the fit, so that you can push them a bit to take a decision a little earlier, maybe using a pain, a priority, maybe there is a timeline and all of that, right? uh, you should know how to extract those insights from the conversation as well. As you discover more, how to bring those key insights out. And you know you should never feel scripted, obviously, right? It should be like a natural flow, but you're digging down deep and understanding the problem from the root. CRM, that's always there, right? You should know how to maintain a clean notes, how to put everything on CRM. Like in B2B, we have a saying which says, if it is not in CRM, it never happened, right? So putting all that, all the data, all the call notes on CRM with the next steps, that is very important. Then logging in all your calls, emails, the touch points you have had, right? All the multi touch points, recording them on the CRM, you should know that as well, right? And the pipeline stages, right? Every deal goes through a stage, like for example the initial stage, then you come to a demo or a trial stage, then there is more of discovery, and then the negotiation and closure. So you should be able to identify the stages accurately. uh, Call summaries, uh, like you write a lot when you are recording all this on CRMs. Learn to write good crisp call summaries, because you should not be wasting too much time on this as well. Then one more important thing is understanding the buyer behavior, right? Like for example, if you are selling to enterprises, there are multiple stakeholders, right? There are multiple people who would be involved in the buying process. So you should know what kind of people are involved, what are their roles, how they would behave, what is the priority for them. For example, a CMO's priority might not be the CEO's priority. So if your solution is helping both of them, you should know how to position it to CMO and how to position it to CEO. All right. Then in a tech, you are used to close in a shorter cycle, maybe a week or two or something like that, or sometimes you do one on call closures and all of that. But here, understand that in the B2B buying space, it's a company which is buying, it's a business which is buying. So have the mindset to expect a longer structured sales cycles, right? Learn to focus more on ROI here. The dream selling, the push selling, all of that doesn't work. Focus your conversations around ROI, the efficiency, how you can improvise someone's workflow, all of that. Okay. And you should have a smart mind. What would I call it? Maybe you should have that mindset where you can spot the buying triggers as well, right? Maybe some companies getting funding and that's a good buying trigger. Maybe they are massively expanding. You see a lot of hiring news on LinkedIn. That's also can be a trigger. Maybe other expansions that they are doing into the territories, regions, all of that, right? So you should know how to identify those triggers and how to customize your messaging or scripts accordingly on your cold calls and emails. Then uh, the last one, the communication and the mindset shift you should have, right? First thing is, in edtech you're always closing fast, right? So now from there you should move to qualifying properly, because as an SDR, qualifying the prospect and handing it over to A is very important. You should learn that proactively. Then moving from emotion driven to ROI driven selling is very important. You can't have emotional talk and then motivate someone to buy here for the businesses. Show the ROI, be logical, talk practical things, and start driving the sales, right? You be calm, confident. Don't showcase any pressure that's on your mind. So always have those constant tone guiding them throughout, so that they see you as a consultant rather than a sales person. Okay. uh, Learning that business communication, right? So I mean, you would know it already because of your cold calling and the experience that you have, but here it's a bit, sometimes we become more aggressive, which might piss off the prospect and all of that. So learn and expect that you need patience. Things might move a little slow sometimes. Okay. So you just have to practice all of this, right? Be aware of all of this. Use ChatGPT, or maybe you can even consider joining one of the program. Like at Saspire, we have a SaaS Launchpad program where we have helped over 45 candidates in the last 6 months to get interviews. And we have seen that on average, when people follow the right methods and frameworks, they're getting interviews within 2 weeks, right? So there are many programs like this. Pick up whatever is suitable for you. If you need any help, you can get in touch with me as well, or either visit saspire.co, and you have all the details over there. Okay, all the best for your job hunting. Thanks.